Most people who know me well say that I'm lazy, and while it's not entirely true, I can't be bothered to prove them wrong. Anyway, because I'm so lazy, my summers tend to be very boring. I turn into a hobbit and hole myself up at home all day to watch YouTube videos, only leaving once in the afternoon to go to the gym and get my gains. The summer before my junior year, however, I was shipped off to a university in the Midwest and told that I would be a summer intern in their high-energy physics lab. I like to think that my parents sent me on this trip to help expand my horizons, but I think it would be more accurate to say that they were hoping I got on the wrong plane and didn't come back. Either way, I soon found myself in a state that I had never been to and knew nobody in. After unpacking my bags in a dorm whose lower floors doubled as a nuclear fallout shelter, I wandered around campus until I found a building that looked like the picture of the physics lab I had seen on Google Maps. It was this vast construction of steel and brick that dominated the surrounding buildings and certainly dwarfed the crops growing in the fields just a few blocks over. Its lobby was immaculate, with white tiles and display cases full of awards, recognitions, and scale models. A massive screen covered one of the walls and recounted all of the incredible discoveries that had been made within its decades-long legacy. My mouth dropped like my GPA after I downloaded Minecraft. All I could do was stare in wonder at this hollowed ground and think, oh my god, I'm gonna be working here. The first doubts started to creep in after I met my professor. He was in his late 20s and wearing a graphic tee, jeans, and some red basketball shoes. Instead of exchanging handshakes, he dapped me up and told me to call him Doc. Since it was Sunday, I discounted this informality as just him trying to relax on a day when he didn't have to work. As he led me to the lab, however, my confidence began to waver. Why were we going past all of the offices? Why did we have to go through what looked like a garage door? Why was there exposed and leaking piping on the ceiling now? Why are we walking through a pair of 2-inch thick steel doors with more warning stickers than I can count? But as I read the sign on the doors, which was just a piece of printer paper with some double-sided tape, I realized that this wasn't some sort of sick joke. No, this was experimental high-energy physics, and this would be my home for the next 6 weeks. The building I had originally been in housed all the other older physics departments. Because high energy was relatively new, it was crammed into a windowless brick shed outside of the proper physics building. This roughly cubic space used to be the target area of a now decommissioned particle accelerator and housed not just this department, but also more OSHA violations than I thought were possible. There are certainly other stories, like when I played World of Tanks on the lab computer to a cheering crowd of 5 grad students, but these safety hazards are by far the most interesting. Here's just a few examples of things that could have, and probably should have, killed me. One of the pipes on the ceiling leaked, so someone looped a bucket over it to catch the dripping liquid. By the time I got there, the bucket was full and the liquid would occasionally spill over the edge onto my desk, which had a computer set up and other electronics. I also sat next to a small 3D printer that had been modified to print larger objects. Whoever modified this, however, had forgotten to put the ventilator back, so I was constantly inhaling burnt plastic fumes whenever the thing was running. There was also a Class 4 laser in one of the shack's rooms, but no protective eye equipment, at least not for me. For those of you who aren't familiar, a Class 4 laser is powerful enough to burn holes through human flesh. This particular laser used some sort of probably toxic powder, which was spilled all over the floor around the setup. Most of the time when the laser turned on, I just leave the building so that I wouldn't die. One room over from the Class 4 laser was a plasma confinement chamber. Plasma is a super energetic state of matter that only occurs when you heat gas to the point where the molecules rip themselves apart. Because of the temperatures required to make it and its innate ability to explode, plasma only exists for extended periods of time inside of stars. When it's artificially generated by pumping extremely high energy electricity through gas, it has to be contained by precisely calibrated electric and magnetic fields so that it doesn't blow up the room, if not the entire building. Naturally, then, I was just a little bit terrified when the professor told me that the machine he used to create and isolate the plasma was, quote, made out of parts he found in the basement. So that's the traumatic saga of the Science Shack. I think I would have qualified for workers' compensation, but because they didn't pay me, I technically wasn't an employee. So I got radiation poisoning for free. Like and sub, you know the deal. If you don't, I go into crippling student debt.